Hello everyone, and again we are back here with another video for you all that is about our human heart. So in our previous videos we have discussed about our blood, okay, the different components of blood transfusion and many more. But now we will just come to our human heart. So we all know, by this time we all know that the circulatory system which we are talking about, it consists of the heart, which is the main organ, and then you have the blood vessels, followed by them you have your arteries, veins and capillaries. We have to know about all this. So we will be discussing each part of the circulatory system in detail, right? That is, first we'll discuss about the heart, then we will talk about the different types of blood vessels, how they look like, what are the walls, and whether it's muscular or thin. All these things we are going to discuss slowly. Now, the first thing that I would like to discuss is the heart when we talk about its location. Okay, can you just tell me the location? Most of you will say that it is located in the left side, but it's wrong. It's neither on the left nor on the right, but it is felt so on the left side, though, because it is located at the center in between your ribs. Alright, it's located somewhere there, but because of the lower portion of the heart, which is inclined towards the left, and that lower portion is responsible for pumping blood to your different parts of your body. So it's a pumping organ. So obviously, there will be a lot of force required and energy required, and that will be going to, that causes the heartbeat to be felt on the left. But please always remember that the heart is right in the center between two lungs and above the diaphragm. So location is very important for you all, and the narrow end of the roughly triangular heart is actually pointed to the left side, and during its working the contraction will take place, which is very powerful. That contraction is highly powerful, giving a feeling that the heart is on the left side. So we discussed the location, which is not on the left, but not in the left, not in the right, but at the center between the two lungs and above the diaphragm. Okay, so if we talk about, and if you look at this heart, it's such a beautiful diagram, it's very different from what the heart you all draw. So you can see out here, that there are so many labelings done in this diagram, and we will discuss about each of it in a detailed manner. But before we move on, to the detailed part, like the chambers of the heart and the blood vessels which you see, which is entering and leaving the heart, the arrows out here, the valves, you can see the opening of the valves, closing of the valves. Before we discuss all these things, first thing that we should remember is immediately after location we should know the covering. So the heart is covered by a protective membranous covering, and that is nothing but it is called our pericardium. And this pericardium, that protective covering that is there, it remains filled with a fluid, and that fluid is lubricating fluid, and the name of the fluid, we will say it is pericardial fluid. So what is the function of this pericardium and pericardial fluid? So pericardium, it's a membranous, a protective covering the heart, and the fluid out here which is present, it actually reduces the friction which is there during a heartbeat, and even protect the heart from your mechanical injuries. Alright, so we will be looking at this diagram and then again proceed by the slides together. So moving on to the next part, we should know, in general we know that the human heart, it consists of 4 chambers. How many chambers are there? 4 chambers. That is, you have your upper chambers and the lower chambers. Alright, these upper chambers are actually known as your auricles. Alright, or you have to remember, we can say atria, whereas the lower chambers are your ventricles. The human heart is divided into the right and the left portion by the septum. So if you look at here in this diagram, you can see that these chambers are your upper portion of the heart, and this chamber is the lower portion of the heart. So the upper chambers of the heart is known as your auricles, and the lower chambers are known as your ventricle. Now, but we said that the heart has 4 chambers. That means the heart is divided from this region, into the right side and the left side, as a result of which we have 4 chambers. That is your right atrium, right ventricle and left ventricle. So altogether the heart consists of your 4 chambers, we can see out here. Alright, but the upper portion of the heart is auricles and the lower portion have the ventricles. The upper portion, okay, which we see out here, the other name for auricles is the atrium. Okay, we can see we have right atrium and left. That means what is dividing this heart into your right and the left? There is a region called, and that is called a septum. So please remember and keep in mind that it is the septum that is present in the heart will divide the heart into two parts, that is your right side and the left side. Am I clear to all of you? So the right side and the left side. And remember one more thing as in keynote, always remember that this right side of the heart will deal with deoxygenated blood, whereas the left side of the heart will deal with oxygenated blood. You have to remember this. So firstly, we'll discuss the chambers. So how many chambers are there? There are 4 chambers. If you look at the portions of the heart, so we have the upper portion and the lower portion of the heart. So you can see out here, this is the upper portion and this is the lower portion of the heart. So the upper portion of the heart is called your auricles or the atrium, and then the lower portion is called your ventricles. Now why we are saying 4? Because the heart is divided from the center region out here into the right part and the left part. So as a result of which we have right atrium, the first chamber, left atrium, second chamber, let's say third chamber is the right ventricle, fourth chamber is the left ventricle. So altogether how many chambers we have? We have 4 chambers. Now immediately after this chambers that we are discussing, I even said you all that this right part of the heart, remember, always remember this thing. It's a keyword for you all. It's a mantra for you all. This right part of this heart deals with deoxygenated blood. What type of blood it deals with? Deoxygenated. And this your left part of the heart deals with your oxygenated blood. So as we will see circulation in detail, you'll come to know. So if you know that the right part is dealing with the deoxygenated blood and left part with oxygenated blood, things become more simpler for you to understand the concept of your circulation. Okay, so now if we talk about the human heart that is divided into right and left portion by the septum, as I said already, and the upper portion of the chambers of the heart are called the auricles, and the lower portion of the chambers of the heart are called the ventricles. Covering is the pericardium, and there is a fluid that is a pericardial fluid, and that is there. You have to remember the function, that is protection, and the fluid function is to reduce the friction whenever there's a heartbeat, and it protects it from mechanical injuries. Okay, now children, we have to remember certain things in more detail. So if we talk about now only the chambers of the heart, let us focus only on the chambers of the heart. So we know there are 4 chambers, and the upper portion of the heart, that is your auricles, and the lower portion is called your ventricle. So we have the right atrium, left atrium, and we have your right ventricles and the left ventricles. Now if you look at, let's go back, if you look at the walls, what walls? If you look at the walls of this auricles, that is the atrium, it is found that it is thinner. The auricles, the walls of the auricles are thinner compared to the walls of the ventricles. Why is it so? So another thing, mantra that comes here is that these upper chambers of the heart, you see out here, they are going to be your receiving chambers. That means they will only receive but no distribution. So remember, they are going to only receive but no distribution. Whereas the lower chambers, that is your ventricles, which we see out here, these have thicker walls. Why do they have thick walls? They have thick walls because they are the distributing chambers. They are the ones which is going to pump the blood throughout the body. So it requires more powerful contraction. So the walls have to be very, very thick. Otherwise, if it is thin, the walls will rupture and then a person will die. So everything is organized in a different way. Whereas you know that the auricles are just gonna receive blood. So they are the receiving chambers. They just have to receive. So therefore, their walls are thinner compared to the walls of the ventricles. And it is a famous ICSE question. That is why the walls of the auricles or the atria are thinner compared to the walls of the ventricles. So you have to remember that the atria, they are the receiving chambers. So their walls are thinner. They just receive blood, whether it's oxygenated or deoxygenated, that is a different thing. But when we talk about our ventricles, we have to remember that these ventricles are distributing chambers. So when we say they are the distributing chambers, they have to pump blood throughout the body, and therefore that particular pumping requires a powerful contraction of the heart. And for that powerful contraction to take place, the walls of the ventricles really have to be thick so that it can get and maintain that particular contraction. So this is what I wanted you all to know regarding the chambers of our heart. Okay, moving on to the next portion, that is our very, very interesting portion, that is the blood vessels entering the heart, and then we will discuss the blood vessels leaving the heart. So this is actually, we are learning step by step. So we first studied, okay, the location of the heart, okay, where it is located. Then the covering, what is it covered with, okay, which fluid is present in that covering, what are the functions, we studied about that also. Then we talked about the chambers of the heart. There are 4 chambers. Then we also discussed that the heart is divided into, you have to remember, the upper portion and the lower portion. The upper portion is called the atria and the lower portion is called your ventricles. The heart is divided into 2 regions, okay, that is the right portion and the left portion, with the help of what? With the help of a septum, okay. And always remember that the right portion of the heart deals with deoxygenated blood and the left portion of the heart deals with your oxygenated blood. So you have to remember this, you have to keep this thing in mind. Just remember that's a formula to remember circulation. So first thing, 4 chambers, protective covering, pericardium, fluid present in that pericardium, it's a pericardial fluid, okay, and therefore it prevents mechanical injury and reduces the friction during a heartbeat, okay. Then when we talk about the chambers, we have to remember the upper chambers are there and the lower chambers are there. Upper chambers are atria, lower chambers are ventricles. But we have 4 chambers. Why? This is because the heart is divided by the septum into the right portion and the left portion, as a result of which we have 4 chambers. We have the right auricle, the left auricle, or the right atria or the left atria. And then we have a right ventricle or the left ventricle. So we have 4 chambers. Now when we're discussing about the chambers in more detail, you will see that these atria which is present, that is the upper chambers, okay, of the heart, okay, they are the receiving chambers. What are they? Receiving. That means they will receive blood. So the walls of these auricles are found to be thin compared to the walls of our ventricles. Why? Because the ventricles are actually the distributing chambers. That means they are the ones which are going to pump the blood to different parts of the body. A powerful contraction is required for that to undergo, and to take that powerful contraction, the walls have to be thick, otherwise it would rupture and then there would be no functioning of the heart after that. Okay, so this was what I wanted to remember. So please keep those keywords in your mind regarding the chambers, the walls, and the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, which portion of the heart deals with what. Am I clear? Okay, so moving on to the blood vessels which enters the heart, okay, we should know number 1, that is your inferior vena cava. Let's see, where is the inferior vena cava in the diagram? So let's see. Okay, so the blood vessels which enters the heart, we have inferior vena cava, we have your superior vena cava, okay, and there's one more that enters the heart, and that is our, which one? Can you tell me which one it will be that enters the heart? Which one? Okay, I will tell you. The another one that is gonna be is our, I think, pulmonary vein that will enter our heart. So we will talk about the blood vessels entering the heart. So when we say blood vessels entering the heart, that means they are collecting some type of blood and then they are emptying into the heart. That means you have to remember, we see the blood vessel number 1 is your superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. So why we are saying superior and why we are saying inferior vena cava? Okay, when we say superior means whatever deoxygenated blood is there. Just remember this, deoxygenated. Now you have to remember one more thing before I move on to that. This inferior vena cava and the superior vena cava, okay, these are the blood vessels that are entering the heart. Obviously entering, that means they are bringing something to the heart. So which portion will take it? Receiving chambers, which is the one? So it is the atrium. So always remember that they will open into the right atrium. Doesn't mean that it's opening somewhere here. The connection is right on top, and from there they come and empty it into the right atrium. So now see, I had told you the right part of the heart deals with deoxygenated blood, whether it's the atrium or the ventricle. Okay, so that means the inferior vena cava and the superior vena cava, they will bring about the deoxygenated blood from, they'll collect the deoxygenated blood from the lower portion of the body, and this one from the upper portion of the body, and empty it. That means it's going to bring in. So it will empty it into the right atrium. So since it is emptying it into the right atrium, means what? Deoxygenated blood, because right part of the heart deals with deoxygenated blood. So what type of blood they are carrying? Deoxygenated blood from the upper portion of your body and the lower portion of the body is collected and emptied into the right atrium. Okay, so this is your superior vena cava and your inferior vena cava. So let me just tell you once again, the right atrium actually receives two large vessels. Okay, so they are known as your anterior vena cava and your superior vena cava. Okay. Now when we say anterior is also known as a superior vena cava, and your inferior vena cava is also known as a posterior vena cava. So you have to remember, this anterior or the superior vena cava brings deoxygenated blood, okay, from the upper regions of the body, including the head, chest, arm, and then they are going to open into the right chamber. Because why right side of the upper portion, that is the right auricles, it will open into right atria, auricles or atria you say. So right side, why we are saying right atrium? Now see, it is opening, it is that means something is, the heart has to receive that. So obviously it is going to be, the receiving chambers will be the auricles, but since it is dealing with deoxygenated blood, so which auricle will receive it? Obviously right auricle or the right atria will receive this large two blood vessels, that is inferior vena cava and the superior vena cava. The other name for inferior is your posterior vena cava and superior is anterior vena cava. So the deoxygenated blood is collected from the upper portion of the body and the lower portion of the body and emptied into this right atria. Okay, now similarly you have to remember that the left atrium is there. Okay, left atrium. So let's go back to left atrium. Can you see this left atrium out here? Okay, so this left atrium, you can see there are some blood vessels entering over here. Okay, so it receives, you have to remember, 4 pulmonary veins, 2 from each lung. So you know that a lung is 2 bilobed organs. So you have your right lung and the left lung. So you have to remember 2 pulmonary veins from your left and 2 pulmonary veins from your right lungs will come and open up into, again, because again the receiving chamber. So receiving is the atrium and oxygenated blood. So it's always left atrium, because in the lung, you know that the blood will get oxygenated. So the oxygenated blood from the lung is brought in to the heart. That means the heart has to receive it. So receive which one? Auricles. Now what type of blood it is? Oxygenated. So which portions? Left. So therefore left atrium will receive the pulmonary veins. So altogether there are, if you have to remember, 3 blood vessels which enters the heart. They are the inferior or the posterior vena cava, then you have a superior or the anterior vena cava, and lastly we have the pulmonary veins, that is 2 each from each lungs, 2 each arising from each of the lungs. Okay, there are 4 pulmonary veins entering the left atrium. So pulmonary veins, okay, will carry this to the left atrium. Okay, now let me give you one more concept out here only, that is regarding the oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood with respect to the blood vessels. Always remember, okay, that we have 3 blood vessels: arteries, veins and capillaries. Okay, first we'll talk about only arteries and veins. Remember, arteries, they carry oxygenated blood, okay, whereas veins, they carry deoxygenated blood. But there is an exception. Okay, that is your pulmonary artery, okay, is the only artery which carries deoxygenated blood, and your pulmonary vein is the only vein which carries oxygenated blood. Remember that, please. So this is another mantra or trick to solve your circulation. Okay, now we move to the blood vessels leaving the heart. So you have to remember, there are certain blood vessels that will leave the heart, and that means they will bring, that means they will not bring, but they will pump either the deoxygenated blood to the lungs, okay, for oxygenation, and then after it's oxygenated, okay, then again the blood enters the heart through certain chambers, that is the receiving, then enters again the distributing chambers, and from that distributing chambers it is thrown to the different parts of the body. So there are 2 blood vessels, pulmonary artery and aorta, or aorta we say, that is going to leave the heart. So let's see the diagram again once here. You can see that, okay, there is one of this blood vessel, that's called a pulmonary artery. So this is the only artery which will carry deoxygenated blood. But how? So you all know that the deoxygenated blood, okay, now let's talk about the circulation. The deoxygenated blood, okay, from the upper portion of the body and the lower portion of the body is collected by these 2 blood vessels, large blood vessels, which will empty into this deoxygenated. Receiving chamber is atrium and its deoxygenated, so right atrium. Now what will happen, as the blood gets filled out here, the pressure will increase and then it will open up. This particular door will open. It's a valve actually. This valve will open and the blood will then start rushing into this right ventricle. Again, the right ventricle gets filled up out here. The valves are closed. Pressure will generate out here. Where to throw the blood? Where to throw the blood? So it will push the blood through this vessel, that is a pulmonary artery. So this is whatever blood is flowing from right atrium to right ventricle. You know that the right portion deals with deoxygenated blood. So the circulation step starts like this. from the upper portion of the body, from the lower portion of the body. Deoxygenated blood is carried by superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava, which opens into the right atrium. So after it fills out here, the pressure increases, this valve will open, then the blood, that is the deoxygenated blood, will enter this right ventricle. Pressure will again increase out here, then it will push the blood. So another valve is present out here, which is there out here. So it will enter this pulmonary artery. Now this pulmonary artery will take the blood, I mean it's leaving the heart. Okay, it's leaving. This is the blood vessel which leaves the heart. So it will carry the blood to your lungs, and that is your deoxygenated blood. So pulmonary artery is the only artery which carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs, where it gets oxygenated. Now once the blood has got oxygenated, okay, it needs to again enter the heart, because heart is the organ which is going to pump blood to different parts. So from the lungs, okay, there are pulmonary veins. So from the lungs, okay, the pulmonary veins comes out, and this pulmonary veins will enter again the heart carrying oxygenated blood. So it's entering the heart, that means it's receiving, heart is receiving that blood, oxygenated blood. So it will enter the left atrium. Oxygenated blood deals, which part of the heart deals with it? So left. So it will enter this left atrium. After entering the left atrium, the pressure again fills and builds up out here. This valve will open, then it enters the left ventricle. Now in left ventricle again the pressure is increasing. Now there has to be a blood vessel, okay, which is going to throw this oxygenated blood, or pump this, or distribute this oxygenated blood to the different parts of the body. So there is another blood vessel which you can see out here, that is our aorta. This aorta will carry this oxygenated blood, and then this aorta branches to fine arteries, and from there this particular oxygenated blood is pumped and distributed throughout our body, the upper portion of the body as well as the lower portion of our body. So we can see that there are two blood vessels that is going to leave the heart. That means one is a pulmonary artery out here which is leaving the heart and entering the lungs, and they are going to carry some type of blood. What type of blood it carries? It is your deoxygenated blood. Whereas after the blood has reached, okay, to the lungs by the pulmonary artery, that deoxygenated blood in the lungs, oxygenation of that blood will take place. Once that oxygenation is done, then what will happen? Now that oxygenated blood needs to again reach the heart. So heart has to receive that oxygenated blood. So we all know that the receiving chamber is the auricle, and now the blood is oxygenated. So which chamber? So it is your left atrium. So the blood starts filling out here, pressure is generated, the valve opens, okay, then left ventricle it enters, then from left ventricle again pressure is generated, and then it is pumped out through this aorta to the different parts of the body. Okay, now you can see these, okay, structures out here. These are nothing but they are the valves. Why are valves present, okay, in the heart? So as to ensure unidirectional flow of the blood. That means the blood flows only in one direction. Once it has entered from right atrium to the right ventricle, it does not flow back again. So to prevent that, we have valves in our heart, and we can see that in between the right atrium and the right ventricle we have a valve called tricuspid valve. Okay, now this tricuspid valve is also known as your, now since it's in the right region, we say right atrioventricular valve. Okay, then we have our, here also we have another valve out here, that is your mitral valve. So it's between the left auricle and the left ventricle, and you can see a valve present out here, that is a pulmonary semilunar valve, and out here we have the aortic semilunar valve. So immediately after the blood vessels leaving the heart, it's almost over now. So we come to just check that valves that regulate the flow of blood in a single direction. So therefore we have the right atrioventricular valve, and we have the left atrioventricular valve, pulmonary semilunar valves, and aortic semilunar valves. I have shown you the location. So I have already told you that right atrioventricular valve is also known as a tricuspid valve, left atrioventricular valve is known as a bicuspid valve, and pulmonary semilunar valves and aortic semilunar valves are there. So you can see the location. So if we say right atrioventricular valve, means this valve is present between the right auricle and the left ventricle. When we say about left atrioventricular valve, means the name itself means left auricle and left ventricle. The valve between them is known as that. So this is bicuspid, this is tricuspid. Then we have your pulmonary semilunar valves, that is there in between the ventricles, that is the right ventricles and your pulmonary artery, and then you have aortic semilunar valves, that is in between the left ventricle and your aortic, that is your aorta. Okay, so these were the valves. Now one more thing, just a short thing, you can look at the diagram of the valves, okay, which we can do a revision of it when we have the Zoom class. But I would like you all to know one little small thing, that is, you know, this tricuspid valve which is there, no, this one, which is also known as your right atrioventricular valve. This tricuspid valve, it is triangular in shape, but it has 3 cusp. Now, flap like structure. There are 3 cusp. That's why it's called tricuspid valve. And you have to remember that, okay, these cusps or the flaps are held in position by a special structure called your chordae tendineae. So your homework will be to find out what is chordae tendineae, what is its function, and then this chordae tendineae, actually it will arise from the walls of the ventricles, which is known as your papillary muscle. So you have to find out a little bit about it, what is the function of chordae tendineae, which is a very, very important ICSE question. Okay. Now one more thing, okay, is there. It's about our coronary arteries. Okay, when we say coronary arteries, that means these are the arteries which supply oxygenated blood to the heart. So if you are asked, the blood vessel which supplies the blood to the heart, that is oxygenated blood to the heart, is coronary arteries. And if this coronary arteries, by chance, if it gets blocked or something like that, then you are going to suffer from myocardial infarction, that is called your heart attack. Okay, you have to remember that. And if there is pain in the chest pain due to insufficient supply of your oxygenated blood into the heart, then it's called angina pectoris. You have to remember these 2 heart diseases, that is your myocardial infarction, and then you have your angina pectoris. Okay, these 2 you are going to find it out, and we are going to discuss it out in our next class, that is our Zoom class. So this is all about our today's video. That was about your human heart, which we talked about in detail. More detail will be there when we talk about, okay, diastole and systole, that is the heartbeat, the pulse, okay, and then we talk about our pacemaker in little bit brief, then the different blood vessels, that is going to be discussed, and then we have the hepatic portal system, and then we end this particular chapter. All right, so